Don't take what God has given to you for granted. There is a sad story in the Bible, and one of the saddest verse in my opinion. Talking about Samson, the Bible says, he awoke from his sleep and thought, I will go out as before and shake myself free. But he did not know that the Lord had left him. It's a sad verse indeed, because he did not know the Lord had left him. See, Samson had a calling from God, and God was with him to help him to live that calling, to fulfill that calling. But Samson, through his repeated bad choices, ended up in Delilah's lap, telling all his secrets. Delilah put Samson to sleep, cut his hair, and called the Philistines to capture Samson. When Samson awoke from his sleep, he thought, I'm the same old Samson. I'm stronger and I can face any enemies. But little did he know that he's not the same old Samson. He has compromised his calling. He not only awoke from his physical sleep, he also awoke from his spiritual sleep. He didn't realize the Lord had left him. Don't go into spiritual sleep that you don't understand the value of your salvation. Don't go into spiritual sleep that you don't understand the costliness of knowing Christ. See, Judas Iscariot took Christ for granted. He went into spiritual sleep. He betrayed Christ. He came so close to the Prince of Peace and the wellspring of life, but he lost that treasure. Pilate came so close to Christ, but he lost that fountain of knowledge. Peter almost lost his calling on that night when the rooster crowed. He denied the greatest and the best friend he could ever have. He went out and wept bitterly. His heart would have been broken to almost lose Christ that night. But when he got a second chance on that shore of Galilee after Christ's resurrection, he took hold of Christ firmly to the point that he was ready to die upside down on the cross. That's what the history says. He understood the selfless love of Christ and the fountain of grace. See, you can afford to lose anything in life, but not Christ. Christ is the greatest treasure we can have in life. He's the wealth and wellspring of life. He's the fountain of knowledge and the Prince of Peace. Make sure you don't lose Christ in your life for the sake of petty things. You'll not be the same without Christ. You are who you are because of Christ. Because Christ said, apart from me, you can do nothing. Whatever you do without Christ amounts to nothing. See, you can earn 6-figure salary, but if you don't have Christ, it's nothing. You can drive Tesla or Ferrari, but if you don't have Christ, you have nothing. You can have a mansion or a beach house in the most beautiful part of the world, but if you don't have Christ, you have nothing. Don't take what God has given to you for granted. All that you have now is because of Christ. Don't hold on to what God has given to you, but hold on to Christ. Samson took his calling for granted. He ended up in captivity. See, don't end up in captivity. Don't take your salvation for granted that you end up in captivity. See, that's what sin does. Sin separates us from God. Transgression against God is deadly. God abhors sin. When Adam sinned, he immediately fell from his original righteousness. He was separated from God. He came under condemnation. The consequences of sin are still real, and it's still the same. When we sin, we feel ashamed and we run away from God. Sin separates us from God. Fear God and shun evil, the Bible says. See, sin fascinates you, but it will later assassinate you. Sin thrills you, but later it will kill you. Little distraction here and there can result in total loss of vision. Like Samson. Make sure your gaze is fixed on Christ and Christ alone. The writer of the Hebrews said, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witness, let us throw off everything that hinders us, the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and the perfecter of faith. Fix your eyes on Jesus today And don't get distracted by the world. You cannot live without Christ. And He is the pioneer and He is the perfecter of the faith. I hope that's an encouragement for you. Thanks for watching and God bless.